Right. You're so aware of others' feelings that
Now you're killing him.
I would guess that one of the good things about this, you had some time off. Have you taken some vacation? Have you gone anywhere, traveled?
Yeah. I went. I wanted to get away from all the showbiz, crazy showbiz.
Yeah.
So I decided I'd go on a vacation, you know.
Great.
And I don't like to go to hotels because all my years of doing my nightclub act, I don't like hotels.
Yeah.
So I decided I'll go, you know, my buddy tells me, he goes, hey, you should go to one of them bed and breakfasts. You ever hear tell of them?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. The idea is you go there, it's a guy's house, and you live in his room, and then he makes you some breakfast.
Right. Very yeah.
It's a thumbnail, you
Yeah,
know.
that's it, sure.
So I looked one up on the internet there, and I found one. I went to Vancouver Island, Victoria, which is beautiful.
Lovely,
Oh, my
yeah.
God, it's God's little country. And so I go there, and I look up my place where I'm supposed to go. I have it on a little piece of paper, and I knock on the door, right? And there's no answer. So I knock again, and there's still no answer. So finally, I look like in the window there, and there's an old man sleeping on a couch, you know?
Yeah.
So I bang on the door, ringing the doorbell, you know? So finally I hear like, hey, keep your pants on there, you know, from the inside. And he comes to the door, old guy, you know, but I'd say 80, 85 years old.
Yeah.
Old Harold Delaney was his name.
Harold Delaney.
Yeah, nice enough gentleman, you know. And so I get in there and I says, well, I better go to sleep. There's no one else there, you know. Like, I thought it'd be like a whole bunch of people in different rooms, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just me.
Yeah.
So I go up and I go to sleep, and I'm ready to go to sleep, and a knock comes on the door, right? A knock on my bedroom door.
Right.
So I figure, uh-oh, old Harold Delaney wants to have sex with me there. You know?
That's the first thought that went through your mind, huh?
Well, I'm a young fella.
Yeah,
These days, anything
not a
goes.
bad-looking guy, sure, yeah.
I'm not a...
Traveling alone, why
Sure.
not?
And, of course, I didn't come to Victoria to have sex with old Harold Delaney. You know? I came to do some sightseeing.
Of course.
Yeah. So, then I hear him, he goes, well, you ought to play some Scrabble.
Oh, Scrabble.
Yeah, so I say, okay, that's good.
Sure.
I'll play some Scrabble. So I go down, and he pulls out this old Scrabble game there, and we start to play, you know, and I like Scrabble, you know. So I get the first turn, you know, because I picked the lower letter, and so I get the first turn. So I make rabbit, you know.
Pretty good.
It's a good word. And then I do it pretty quick. I take like a couple of minutes. And then old Harold Delaney, he takes like a half hour to like get his word. And the whole time he's not talking, he's not telling me old stories, because I like hearing old stories, you know. And instead, it was like for a half hour, it was just Harold Delaney going. So then after a half an hour of that, you know, I'm just sitting there. He comes up with his word. It's hat. That's his word, yeah. Hat. So he puts it, and he takes the word hat, and then he puts it like way in the corner on that triple letter score.
Right.
The triple word, the red one
Right.
that you want to get to.
Yeah, sure.
But you can't just put it there.
No, it's got to have some relation to rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to move up there, you know, and finally get to there. But instead, he just puts it right there.
Oh, no.
So I go, all right, you know. And so then it's my turn, you know. I do something, and quickly, and then again, the same thing, like, you know. And then time going by, and then every word, and I was coming up with good words. You know, I had sleigh, you know, a sleigh ride, and avocado.
Whoa.
It was a 7-letter word.
Yep.
You get 50 extra points. I'm still way behind him.
He's just freelancing the board.
Yeah. Yes. And so finally I decided I'm gonna I gotta say something, you know? So and all his words were like cup and hat, and I think it was just like things he'd see around the room, you know? And so I'm playing excellently. I should be in the lead, but instead I'm like 1,000 points behind. And finally, like, I gotta say something, you know? So he puts boot, you know, up on this triple, and it really annoyed me because I was building towards the triple letter. And he just puts boot, and so I said, finally, I gotta say something here. And I go, hey, old Harold Delaney there, I don't know. You can't put boot there. And then he goes, you never heard tell of a boot? So I go, no, I know what a boot is. I'm just saying. He goes, if a fella goes out there, has to wear a boot. So I go, no, I know what I made avocado. I know a boot. You know? And it just took him forever. And I think, and also I noticed a weird thing. There were no blanks. You know how you have the blanks in the game, and it's always good to use any letter, right? Yeah. I realized there's no blanks in this game, and I figured old Harold Delaney must have, when he got the game, figured, what the hell is that, you know, and throwing it away.
Can't use it.
Yeah.
Now, how was the breakfast? Did you have the breakfast?
There was no breakfast. I got up the next day. I was so hungry from playing Scrabble all night. So he says, hey, Harold, how you doing there? How about some breakfast? And he goes, I've never been much for breakfast. So I go, oh, all right. So I go, I guess I'll go down to Mcdonald's and pick up some breakfast or something, Harold. And he goes, can you get me an egg McMuffin? It was crazy. Story, you know, that this guy, he just moved in, you know, next door to me. So I'm always one to meet the neighbors.
You like to chat with the neighbors,
Yeah, because, you know, so I went over to the guy, I knocked on the door next door to where I live, and I say to the guy, I said, hey, I'm your new neighbor, you know, and I said, good to see you, you know, nice to run into you, you know, welcome to the neighborhood, you know. And so the guy, I said, what do you do for a living there, sir, you know, if you don't mind me asking? You know, what do you do for a living? I'm a nightclub comic, I tell the guy. So he says to me, he says, I work down at the University of Science there. He says, that's
a good school, by the way.
I can't remember the exact place.
Sure.
But he says, I'm a professor of logic.
Oh.
So he says, the guy says, logic. Now, what the hell is that? I never heard tell of that. He says, oh, well, he says it's a kind of a pattern of syllogistic. Well, he says it's hard to explain. He says, why don't I give you an example? So I said, fair enough. Why don't you do that? So the guy says, well, he says, let me ask you a question. He says, do you own a doghouse? So I go, yes, I do. He says, well, then that means you probably have a dog. I said, yes. He says, well, that means you have a family if you have a dog. I said, yes, I do. He said, well, then that means you got kids, you're married? I said, yes, I am. He says, well, then you're a heterosexual man. I said, yes, sir, I am. He says, well, you see, that's logic there. I asked if simply from finding out you had a doghouse, I made this series of inferences, and I found that you're a heterosexual man simply from the fact that you had a doghouse. Well, I said, good God, isn't that something?
Okay.
So I said, well, I won't waste any more of your time there, neighbor. And I said, I'll see you later.
See you around, okay.
So I said, come by one day and have a chicken with me. So anyways, I left. So I left. So I go to get a bus, you know, to the bus stop. And I walk down to the bus stop, and I'm still thinking about this thing that happened to me, you know. And I'm standing at the bus, and no bus coming at all, you know, and 5 or 6 of us standing around, and one guy lights up a cigarette there, and he goes, as soon as you light up a cigarette, the bus comes. And he smokes the whole damn cigarette, no bus comes.
Right.
So I said to the guy, well, that theory really worked, huh?
Yeah.
And the guy goes, well, sometimes it works. Anyways, the guy goes, what's new with you? I go, well, I had an interesting thing happen to me today. I said, I met my neighbor. And he goes, oh, yeah? I go, he had a hell of an interesting job. I said, he's a professor of logic down at the University of
Science. Yeah.
And so the guy says, is that so? He says, professor of logic. He goes, what the hell is that, logic? I said, well, it's a series of something or other.
Right.
I said, I can't remember exactly, but I said, I'll give you an example if you want to hear an example.
Yeah.
So the guy goes, all right, fair enough. So I said, let me ask you this. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you own a doghouse? And the guy goes, no, I don't own a doghouse. So the guy says, oh, yeah, you're one of them gays.
right?